Here we are. It's raining. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. All that and more on the Waffle right after this. Apparently, it was stormy last night.
Apparently, there was a storm.
Yeah.
First I've heard of it.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
Slept right through it.
It was, I remember some lightning and some rain, and that was it. I don't
Thunder
know.
and lightning.
Good
very,
morning,
very
Beth.
frightening. Hi, Beth.
Yeah, I don't know. I love it. It makes me sleep better.
I like a good storm.
I love it.
I think it was. I think there were some naders out in
I haven't looked.
Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and maybe some damage at Joplin. I just caught some glances. I can't even talk this morning.
Glimpses?
Glimpses.
Glance.
Glances?
You glanced
I glanced.
and caught a glimpse.
I caught a glimpse.
Glamping?
Glimpse.
Glance. Oh
You go
boy.
glamping.
Hey, we're gonna start it again. Here we go.
Can't say that word
We're
down.
going to just forge right ahead. We're not going to do anything.
Oh man, I guess tomorrow we're gonna get.
Is that right?
Yeah, like
Really?
about the time you're getting off of work, maybe some naders.
What?
Yeah,
It's that time of year.
I love storms. I do. I really do.
I do
too.
enjoy a good
I hate
storm.
it when there's
Yeah, I don't want to see
construction
anybody hurt or
Sure, of
any
course.
property damage, but man, storms are so
It
cool.
is a neat
sitting on the
thing.
porch watching it rain and all that is pretty nice. It's
Absolutely.
pretty fun. I did get we had a couple big boomers out by the house. They did
Big
wake me
boomers.
up, but I did go right back to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't keep me up at all. So.
And you're excited about the mud. Lots of mud.
Jeez, no.
We're back. We actually are having a mud season.
It's,
we weren't
we
having
didn't have a mud season. Now we're having a
Now we're
delayed
having a
mud
late-
season.
Hate
A
that.
late mud season.
My goodness,
Yes.
a lot of water pooling up.
Stop,
It's too
please.
much.
Yes.
I mean, I planted a garden. I'm afraid it's going to get
Swamped.
swamped. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I don't
Too
know.
much.
I think
No, no.
the trees that I planted, the fruit trees that I think that the deer ate the leaves, I think maybe they're growing leaves again.
They're loving this.
so
Probably.
With a tree, you really can't swamp a tree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy that mows my yard is loving this too because it's like every other day. I'm like, dude,
Seriously,
Gonna need you
I
to
could
come.
mow literally every other day.
yeah,
It's
no,
very
I think
growy.
it was mowed. I mean, it's barely been a week, and it's like, yeah, it needs it again.
Yeah, I
So,
can't
Tom,
wait a
if you're
week.
watching, just come on out. But he can't mow.
Right.
It's too wet.
Too wet.
It's too
Yep.
wet. So what
it's
are you gonna
tricky.
do?
It's
But-
that tricky time.
but yeah,
It's track and field day today
Oh, that's big time.
for some of the grades, I should say.
I think my wife's building.
So I know second, and third's going to be there. I don't know if kindergarten, primary
maybe
does
it's
then.
tomorrow.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it is tomorrow.
Well, it's
I can't-
primary.
Maybe.
Primary
Primary
track and
tomorrow,
field
maybe.
day.
It's elementary track and field
Yeah,
day.
maybe
So that's
primary.
fun.
Elementary. Golly.
I looked at the calendar. I forgot.
Primary, elementary, upper elementary,
Yeah.
middle school, high school.
Yes.
That's what we've
Yeah.
got.
Yes.
For
yes,
now.
Yes.
For now, yeah.
So we need a new one.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Probably not too far off.
I think we already
I
do.
kind of feel like we already do too. I feel like we're getting pretty full.
Well, and they keep building more houses. What are you going to do? I mean,
there's
it's
more
almost
coming.
like you can predict. You build houses and you need more schools.
People live in them weird, and then you get
Kind of like you raise the minimum wage, prices go up. It's like, I wonder why that happened.
there's correlation.
Jeez.
But the new houses, we like that.
We
It's
do
good
like
for
that,
our
yeah.
businesses. It's good
It
for
is.
our community.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of, this is a new food truck. Did we talk about the new food truck yet?
Backyard bites? No.
No, I've heard about it. Have you been there?
I've not
I haven't
been
tried
there,
it yet.
no.
Okay. Somebody described it as the burger place. I don't know. Is that it?
I think it's the burgers.
burgers.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
Now,
I'll
I
have
heard
to go.
The sushi truck has really good burgers.
I've heard that.
I need
I've
to try those.
I've
I've
not.
had one.
I've not gotten them because if I'm there, I'm getting the sushi.
It's hard to not get the hibachi or the
Yeah,
sushi. But I've heard the burgers are fantastic.
I,
Backyard bites. Okay.
I've now gotten the deep dish, Chicago style deep dish
Yeah.
from Divine Deli a couple of
yet to have
times.
that.
Dude,
It's
Yeah.
good.
it's legit.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It's a different type of pizza, as I expected it to be.
Well, and here's the
good.
thing. I was telling Shelby, we were talking about it. We were eating it. I said, what I really like about it, what's good, is the sauce is
Yes.
so good. Of course, the deep dish, there's
I love
tons
sauce.
of sauce.
I'm a sauce guy. If
Well,
pizza's got to have a good
Yeah.
sauce.
Well, this does, and here's how I can tell you that. I am not a sauce guy. I do not like pizza sauce. When I order my pizzas, like from Godfather's, light sauce.
Really?
Light sauce.
Light sauce.
I want the
sauce.
cheese sliding right off because there's so much
No,
sauce.
I want the
Yeah.
cheese sticking to the pizza. That's
Yeah.
kind of the point.
Yeah.
So I don't like pizza sauce. This pizza sauce, amazing.
It is good. It's very good.
It tastes
Well,
to me very fresh.
It is
Which
very
matters
fresh
when it's on
tasting.
top, right? Like
Yeah.
it's right there. It's in
Yeah,
front of
it's
you.
what
no
you're-
hiding that sauce.
Yeah.
It's tomatoey. It's light. I think it's got a light flavor to it. It's not overpowering.
I agree.
It's really good. It's
It is
really
very good.
Yeah, I'm a
They
big
have
fan.
prime rib night coming up this Saturday too.
That's true. Yep.
good.
Yeah.
My
I'm
goodness.
on the fence
rib.
about going to that because
I think you should.
I know, but the night before we're going to the FCA banquet, so we've kind of already.
That was my deal. Friday night. I've already got a mother's. It's like the first chance Jesse and I are getting to go to dinner for kind of my birthday that happened a couple weeks ago and Mother's Day, and so
Combo.
yeah.
Combo
So we're going out Friday night. So I'm like, I don't know if I need two large dinners
We're
2 nights
going
in a
out
row,
for Mother's Day, our anniversary, your birthday, and Christmas.
all in one. Yeah, yeah. One night. You get one night.
That's what it is.
That would be a good Mother's Day gift, though. I'm just throwing that out there
wait,
for the
wait,
ladies
wait.
who like prime rib, which is me. But
How would you not like?
I don't know. It's delicious. I love it. So that would be a good Mother's Day gift if there's guys listening who haven't figured that out yet.
That's a good point.
Because we've got Mother's Day and graduation coming up this week. I don't know. When is Rogersville's graduation? I don't know.
Sunday.
Is it Sunday?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
My kids.
And I know that-
my
yeah.
kids are out. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
I had a panic attack yesterday. Not really, but I was thinking, oh no, I've got all these invitations I need to compile, and then I have to make a grid of how I'm getting to these parties.
Oh yeah.
Thursday, how many can I hit on Friday? How
Yeah.
many can I hit on Saturday? How many?
Yeah.
Pastor problems.
Well, it's pastor, coach.
Coach,
so
yeah.
you coach
Yeah.
boys and
Generally
girls,
having high
and
school
then,
or-
and then
yeah.
and then you've got my boys just graduated a
Yeah.
couple years ago. Daughter's going to be a senior, so then you've got the friend groups too. So you're
Yep.
trying to prioritize, and then my neighbor across the street, I got to drop in there. So
Well, all my
it's-
cousins'
party
kids
circuit.
are
Yeah.
graduating now, so I'm getting my cousins' kids' graduation invites. So we've got some of those to deal with, and I'm the oldest of like 13 cousins.
Wow.
So yeah,
You're the elder cousin.
I'm the elder cousin. Yeah. I'm basically the Pope.
The Pope of the
Yeah,
cousins.
I'm
The Popal.
yeah.
How do you? I don't know.
Papal.
The
Papal.
papal.
There it is.
There it is.
I can't say words this morning.
Apple.
Words are hard.
Apple.
Unless you were my college professor, he was now Papal.
Now listen, people.
Listen, Papal.
Lesson, people. That
That's
reminds me of
fantastic.
Ross Perot.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, I remember
he
Dana
did.
Carvey doing
Yes.
that. Is
I think I was more remembering Dana Carvey more
Yeah.
than
because
Ross
he did
Perot.
he did
He did Ross Perot.
Ross Perot and George
George
Bush.
Bush,
he did
yeah.
both. Yeah, that's
Senior
right.
George Bush.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
not gonna do it.
No.
Wouldn't be prudent.
Wouldn't be
1,000
prudent.
points of light.
awesome.
Yeah, Bill Clinton is forever indebted to Ross Perot because, but
Yes.
for him, he would not have won that election.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Oh gosh, you know I
Forever.
barely remember that stuff.
Well, it's because you're not 53 years old.
Yeah.
oh man, was Ross Perot the candidate that year?
He was
It
an
was a
independent.
independent. So, and it was
It was a three-way race.
the most legit
Yeah.
third party candidate of all time,
He
right?
pulled double digits, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I
I mean, at
remember
one
him.
point it was almost
You thought
30% across the
he
board.
might win, yeah.
and then
Okay,
he kind of dipped down toward
so
the
we
end.
had
but it
George
was-
Bush Senior, and then he was a one-term, right?
Yeah, one
And
term.
then he was the next year he was running against him, Ross Perot, and Bill Clinton.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't. It's
Yep.
been so long since I thought about that. that
I'm trying to remember who George Bush ran against and won
like originally.
in '88.
was it Dukakis?
Yeah, it
well, huh?
was Dukakis.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fish fish rots from the head down. Michael Dukakis.
Michael Dukakis.
Who, his big faux pas was the picture he took in the tank.
Oh,
because he popped out of the tank with the helmet on and just looked like a big old doofus.
He looked set, and he had a woman that was his VP running mate.
She was a neat lady for.
Well, no, I think that was Mondale because
it was.
the picture's on the wall right over there. Gerald
Ferrero.
Yeah. Sorry,
she
my
was
bad.
a neat lady.
Now I can't remember who Dukakis was with, but yeah,
boy,
Dukakis.
One of the most fascinating conversations.
Wrong
Who
show.
was the vice presidential candidate in 1992? Right
We're
now,
gonna do some really
VP
boring
candidates
trivia.
for VP candidates for 200.
That's right,
Alex.
I don't know. We could go viral with the most boring trivia show ever on the Waffle.
Man,
That is hilarious.
We definitely tipped the scale.
It is.
right
Well,
there.
okay. This is going to go to a conversation that I've been thinking in my head about talking about on the Waffle. Okay, I was pretty young when that was happening, right?
Yeah.
I, in general, don't have a great memory. It's not great. There's things that I remember, but I'm not one of these people who can rattle off.
I remember all the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Like I have vast storehouses of memories of things that do not matter and I do not need to know.
Yes, and so you collect that. I collect important information, but like from when I was a kid, I don't have this vast like catalog of memories. So there's a lot of talk about and I'm gonna probably throw some people on the bus and makes people mad if anybody watches.
this will be fun. Here we go.
There seems to be a lot of FOMO with parents for their kids.
By the way, she's not cussing. That's
No.
fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out. Where the parent has the fear of missing out for their kid.
I don't want my kid to not have this experience.
I don't want my kid to not have this experience. I don't want my kid to feel left out. I don't, okay, hold on. And I'm no child psychologist.
But you play one on TV.
And I have young kids who I'm sure I have disappointed at times. But I'm not so sure kids remember the little stuff like that. Do you, from your childhood, do you remember small moments of disappointment?
Of course.
Do you?
I mean, not in an angry way. It's just it was a reality.
It didn't ruin your life.
No, it made me better.
No, yeah, exactly. And
This is
maybe
it.
that's the point is like, that's really the problem is kids are getting everything and they don't know how to deal with disappointment. They don't know how to deal with not getting
Exactly.
what they want.
You just touched you hit a hot button here.
And now they're on the campuses protesting in favor of a terrorist organization.
So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the healthiest things that you can do for your children is say, nope, we can't
We're
do
just
that
not gonna
right
do
now.
that.
We're not going to do that. But everybody's doing it. Well, we're not.
We're
You
not.
lost.
Yep.
Suck it up. That's another one.
You lost. Suck it up. Or
Big deal.
there's the garden hoses out back if you're thirsty, get a drink.
We had
I don't have to.
conversation.
I don't have to prepare your drink with the ice the way that you like it, and with a little splash of lemon. Like the way.
What is going? Yeah. What is going on?
We are just over preparing for everything, and it just honestly, kids need to do without, and kids need to be told no, and kids need to lose, and these are life experiences that are real. And so when you ask me if I remember it, yeah, I do, but I don't look back with my parents and have I don't have mommy and daddy
anger.
issues.
You don't need to call and be like, Mom,
No, it's absolutely
what
not.
did you do? And you did not let me participate in whatever.
Well, and
that
the
craziest
soccer
thing
match.
is half the stuff I can't be angry about because I didn't even know it was an option.
Right. Yeah.
That as the parent, you set the tone.
You're setting the tone, like you're the one. Like if the parent is the one dealing with FOMO for their
kid.
just relax. Your kid doesn't even know that that's going on.
Your kid's
so
brain is probably going to change to a new subject real quick.
Well, I mean, I this is a 180 reversal for me, in my opinion.
Interesting.
I know, but it's taken a decade to probably get there. But I raised all my kids when technology, social media was really new.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Now the things that we didn't know anything about that, and so
Sure.
phone, sure, because I'm a technology guy. Get them the computers, get them the phone. So we're raised on all technology, and by the grace of God, they're good kids. They didn't have
one of them sitting over there with a lot
Sitting
of
over there
buttons and
running
screens
our
Our
technology.
running the
producer.
show.
Yeah.
So
So it turned out,
it turned out great.
He looks
for
at us like, I'm not getting paid for this.
but he's capable
He is.
for all other applications. Quite marketable young man over there.
It was no problem. But I look at the way I think it's affected everybody else. I think if there was a proposal that said that, just like alcohol, just like cigarettes, just like anything else that's addictive and destructive for young minds, social media, you can't have a smartphone. You can't have it until you're 18.
I like this, Will. Good job.
I think I'm okay with that. there's no point in it. You don't.
That's out there.
Dumb phone. You can call your kid, let them track it. That's fine.
Right.
I could even see, and this is NDA. Everybody trademark my idea. Don't steal it. I think you could create a
flip phone with Life 360 on it.
Yeah, well, that for sure. But I think you could create potentially a social network for kids, just kids, that was monitored 100% by parents and maybe other people. Lock it down, make it tight. I don't know. I don't know that I'm sold on that. It seems like there might be an ability to do that, but where you just don't get this
constant barrage of garbage.
Yes. I mean, everything very curated, very monitored.
So, unpopular opinion, we have, in a sense, done something like that with our kids.
Yeah.
So, until they're 18, when they were 16, we allowed them to get social media. Mm-hmm. But the stipulations would be that we are connected to it. We see every message you get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We see every post you do.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing hidden. So it's a shared account for accountability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that world is too big and scary to just say,
and their brains are not fully developed.
Have at it. You can do whatever you want on it.
When we were kids, I mean, your parents wouldn't let you they wouldn't just drop you off in downtown Springfield for the night.
No, in general, no.
And basically, that's what we're doing with unfettered access to social media.
And it's weird to me that people don't see it the same way.
Well, it took me a while.
It's weird. It's weird to me.
It's just as not more dangerous.
Well, and there was
more dangerous.
Obviously we had the internet and cell phones, but it was a different attachment experience where we've got dial-up, and you'd be on the computer, and there were time limits, and there were it wasn't this accessible 24/7 all the time for everybody, right? It was kind of hard. It used to be kind of hard to be on the internet, and there was obviously instant messaging really quickly, and risque things said in instant messaging, but it was very
instant messaging. Wow.
Yes, yeah, it was very controlled. To an extent. Now it's completely wildly out of control and accessible to everyone.
Yeah. Well, but you just continue to look at the things that are coming. You look at the kids today that are on college campuses causing all this problem. And by the way, I see them exactly the same way as I see the protesters in the 60s. They're just as wrong. They're just as misguided.
Hippies.
And I mean, I think people today, and just a side note, I think people today look back at the protests in the 60s and romanticize them like they actually accomplished something good. They didn't. Didn't. I mean,
but even that, let's call that out for what it is. I think we look back on history and think that everybody was a hippie.
Yeah,
that's not true.
No,
everybody dressed like a hippie.
Yeah, that is true. There was
a bunch of people did. But it was we look back now and we see the magazines, we see the news stories. That wasn't going on everywhere.
No,
it was fairly isolated. But today, when a movement gets going, it spreads like wildfire, right? Because of social media.
Well, and they can be involved without physically going to the thing and actually trying. Know what I mean?
They're more involved.
Yeah.
Because you have people speaking unintelligibly of Hamas, but they are just as active or more than the people in a tent outside their college campus because they have access through their phone to spread messaging that will reach more people than a tent popped up in the middle of the campus.
They can dabble their toe in being involved without actually having to physically put much effort forth.
The one difference that I will acknowledge is that I think that in the 60s that really was, those were organic movements. And
they were.
They were
and you
organic.
can go, these are totally staged. From the same tents at every campus in America, they're using the same
Soros bought them, put them on
somebody
campus.
bought them because, those tents aren't cheap, and, somebody delivered them. And
Soros is not a proponent of Hamas. Soros is an opponent of America.
He loves to stir stuff up.
He just wants wants trouble in the United States. And so that's why he funds all this crap, because, I don't know, he believes he's going to take over the world in one world government, I assume, in some sort of Marxist takeover.
Well, so, okay, you used to have to, if you got passionate about something, and this could be a hippie protest or a city council meeting. You literally had to go, you know what? I'm going to go put on some clothes. I'm going to drive my car, or I'm going to walk. And I mean, because you look at the protests of the 60s, which I really don't know that much about, they showed up in buses and cars full of people, and they did their thing, and it wasn't an organized event. They just showed up, right?
Yeah.
So now, used to, like, if you want to be part of something in your community, you had to, like I said, put on clothes, get in your car, drive down there, be part of the meeting, see people face to face, and actually commit, right?
Right.
So you had to feel pretty passionate about something, I would think, to go commit to it. Now
it's
you can be a
this
keyboard
and
warrior
send.
on any subject you want to be on with little to no commitment,
Right.
and bounce back and forth, and it's creating a gigantic mess.
Well, what I'm hoping is that people are finally waking up to what the indoctrination of our students over the past 30 years is finally coming to. Is that this is the predictable result of teaching cultural Marxism as the only viable method of thinking about the world to people for 30 years, because that's what we've done. That all started in the 60s.
Right.
That's where those people learned it. Now they became college professors. They did their thing. Now they're teaching the next generation, who are now teaching the next generation. So the really scary thing is all these nut jobs becoming parents and continuing to teach this nonsense to the next generations on down the world. I don't know how we fix it.
Well,
I don't know
thankfully,
either.
Some people are waking up to it because
Hope so.
they, as you mentioned, they become parents. All of a sudden, some realizations hit and some adjustments have to be made. I'm not saying they're all going to be fixed, but
Right.
the indoctrination, it falls in on itself, and I think many people do grow up and grow out of it. Unfortunately, some never do.
Yeah.
What scares me though is I feel I'm an observer. I like to observe people. I like to be aware of what's going on around me. I'm not one of these people that, there's people that just kind of float around and they're not really aware what's going on around them. It's just a different type of person. I've always been hyper vigilant of what's going on around me. It's because it's interesting to me. So this is something I've noticed recently, and this is going to sound really weird. I've always been someone who drives a lot, so I spend a lot of time in a vehicle, and I look at other people in other vehicles while I'm driving. I just look at them as I
You're one of
pass.
those.
I'm a looker. Yes, I'm like, not like that, but I mean, I glance at them and see, like, who is this person driving this car? Right? It's more. Very rarely is anybody else paying attention anymore, and it used to be about half and half. I feel like
looking back at you, or
like
looking
just
at the
looking
road?
back, and I mean I'm talking about as
being
you're
observant.
passing somebody.
So
It's because they're doing this.
I'm not,
Yeah,
cards on the table, I'm not looking back at you.
no, I mean like
I am.
as you're passing
I
like
look.
this, right? I'm a looker. I look at people who I'm
not.
passing,
You're
and I'm
gonna
not
get the side
talking
of
about
my
like
face.
someone over there. Well, and I glance at people as I'm walking down the street. If somebody's on their porch, I'll glance over at
If I'm
them.
looking at you, it's because you're driving stupid and it made me mad.
I
But
believe that.
I swear it used to be about 50% of people were looking back. Now, nobody. Like hardly anybody is paying attention.
Are people more distracted? Are they self-absorbed?
I think it's self-absorption.
Okay.
I really do.
Well,
Which
that's
is
it.
probably our distraction too.
I think, and because I'm not talking about just, you know when somebody's looking at their phone or their radio, well, it's not radio anymore, but you know what I mean. I honestly think I think we have a huge push of self-absorption going on right now. People are not aware of what's going on around them. They're hyper-focused in all of the things that they're juggling, which is a lot, right? And I've just, the thing that stuck out with me here recently is my grandparent, my dad's parents, because he was the World War II generation. He went to World War II. You would think that after that, he'd be like, you know what? I did that for my country. I'm just going to kind of be me for a while. No, they were the most community-involved,
for
minded
sure.
people I've ever known, which is it hints in the,
That's why they
spread
were
to
the greatest generation.
my parents, and it has spread to me. But I think we are so many generations detached from those people that we are losing our sense of community.
Well, something legit changed with that whole hippie movement. I mean, it was a revolution. They say it was a sexual revolution, whatever it was. That was a huge change in our culture, and everything has just been downhill from there.
It went from trust to distrust.
True.
And
Now the distrust is warranted, though.
Well,
that's the
correct,
thing.
for
yeah.
sure.
And I mean, to some degree, it always
Probably.
has been.
It was
I think
then
we
too,
always
yeah.
need to be critical of corruption, critical thinking. But I was talking about this earlier with my men's Bible study group. But the line between a critical thinker and a critical spirit is very thin.
Yeah. It really
And so we need critical thinkers. We need to all be critical thinkers, but in a constructive way.
Yeah.
Because right now we have a generation of just anger and division.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm not allowed to disagree with anybody without I got to hate them.
yeah.
If it's not all good, it's all bad, which is not a good way to live.
No, it's
Which,
not.
I mean, think
Nothing is all good. Nothing is perfect. And so we have to learn to kind of deal in imperfect systems.
You know, what I want to do is look behind that type of mentality that says, if you don't wholeheartedly affirm whatever choice I make, you're a bigot and you hate me.
Right.
You know, where does that come from? Where does that idea come from? Is it just such a
There's that
commitment?
self-absorption.
Is it such a commitment to what you want?
I think it's self-absorption.
Yeah, it's just whatever I am, everyone must approve of.
I think that's
And-
I really think that's the core of this.
And what just baffles me are the logical underpinnings of things like that are non-existent, and people's inability or unwillingness to look at that and go, if everyone feels that way, this can't survive.
Right.
We cannot survive as a culture. And it's the same thing. You look at, like, I was listening to a podcast this morning, and this guy was quoted. He's just stating genocide. Israel and the United States are committing genocide against the Palestinian people.
No.
Okay, you can say that all you want, but there is no logical way that
Right.
you can make that case. I mean, they are
a lot of things
responding
that get
to an attack, and the only reason innocent, and I'm putting that quotes because some are, some aren't, are being harmed is because they're intentionally put in harm's way by Hamas or being
Right.
used as human shields. So there are natural consequences that come
This
from
is
that.
war. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
it's
war. That's what happens when you start, raping people in the streets and chucking missiles. There's fallout of innocent people. This is war.
When
right?
Hamas, the people that you claim are the victims, are literally advocating and have been forever for the complete destruction of Israel, which is genocide.
Right.
And it's just such a topsy-turvy, and we've got apparently millions of people that don't have the ability to think critically about that.
So we listen in sound bites.
Yeah.
We don't listen to learn. We don't listen. We don't ask questions to learn. We listen to respond. Here's a good example, Lauren.
Yes.
If you're out in the woods, would you rather run into a strange man or a bear?
I personally would probably be okay with the strange man. A lot of people are going to be like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see a bear.
You know,
I don't
saw
need a
that.
bear.
It was interesting. And of course, I wanted to flip
I've
it
stayed
around
out
and
of
have a
it.
little fun and say, if you're out in
Yeah.
the woods, do you want to run into a strange Driscoll or a Lindell?
That's funny.
Well, the difference is I'm pretty confident I could take Lindell. Driscoll, I'm not sure. Here's my take on the whole thing is I get it. I get it. Women have been hurt by men, terrible men, and it's a terrible thing, and I understand we're making a point. However, you've got a 100% chance of being mauled and killed by the bear.
Right.
You got
I mean, if the bear's bad, yeah.
But
Honestly,
You're not
going
gonna
to
fight the bear off.
2% chance of that
Of it
random
having
man
a-
being a bad dude.
having a bad
but
encounter with
here's
a man.
the thing that I think that was fascinating about that whole study is that we
That's interesting.
quickly go into what you
Yeah.
did. I did the same thing. I'm logical. I'm thinking through.
Right.
A bear
Yeah.
is going to maul you.
100% of the
Right.
time.
And yet, what we've failed to do is when the woman says, it's the man, we have failed to say, tell me more.
Right.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Tell me what, because that just told me something happened in your background.
Right. That's a good point.
And so, but that's where we struggle is we immediately go into answer mode rather than, okay, there's a pain story in there.
Well, that's
Talk to
because
me about
God
that.
made us
let
that
me
way.
let me give you a little bit of I
He wired
recently
men to be like that.
I
Well,
recently
and that's fine, but we also have to, like, I'm that way too, but I have to learn to listen and probe in. And
So
nearly,
let's let Lauren talk.
well, right, nearly
know.
30
I'm
years
just
of
like,
pastoring has said, that's
here
why
we
I
go.
said to you,
Yeah.
Lauren,
yeah.
which
yeah.
one? I want to hear kind of your thoughts on the whole deal.
Okay, so I have never been hurt by a man. So I'm coming from that. I mean, as far as, anything extreme, right? I've always been surrounded by good male figures in my life. I have a great dad. I have great brothers. I have a great husband. and I'm going down the ranks. My grandfathers were awesome. So I am not somebody speaking from trauma. That's a different deal, right? So I can't even, my new go-to is if I've not lived their life, I really can't understand them. So I'm going to speak from my perspective. But I have 100% experienced male chauvinist behavior in the workplace. I absolutely have experienced that. Multiple occasions, right? Now, other men have experienced problems with males being jerks in the workplace too. So that's not because I'm a female.
And females.
And females being jerks in the workplace. So my general opinion on this topic, and I'm going to get to the other side of it though, is expect to be treated crappy by some people in your life and expect to be treated good by some people in your life
100%.
and learn from that.
Right.
But here is the facts of being a woman. At your core, you live with the concern of you could be overpowered by a man if it came down to that. Okay? It's a safety mechanism.
Sure.
Right? As much as Jesse would never harm me, but he could if he wanted to. Good morning, Diana.
Morning.
And I know that. I also live with the fact that I have 2 daughters. And if something went real south in our society and we were in a survival day-to-day mode, it would be a horror show as a woman, okay? It would.
Yes.
It'd be a horror show in a different type of way for a man, but it would be a horror show for a woman, right? And that's why these, especially the Middle Eastern stuff, really bothers me at my core because of the mistreatment of women in those societies.
Right.
And there's been mistreatment of women in our society, and there's been mistreatment of men and everybody in between. But here are the facts as a woman, and it's a great time as a college student to have this perspective. This is when you really learn about things, I think, especially if you're not coming from a trauma place. It is legitimate that you better be careful walking by yourself. You better be careful what you wear. You better be careful who you go out on a date with. You better be careful how much you have to drink. You better be careful if you are too outspoken. You better be careful if you're too quiet. These are all things that you do have to worry about as a woman that I don't necessarily think you have to worry about as a man. Like when you get ready for a night as a college student, as dudes, you have a totally different, I don't know, I can't think of the word right now, but as a woman, like before we'd go out for college, we'd be like, okay, who's going to be walking with me? Or how are we safely going to get there? Who's going to make sure, Pam and Lauren and Becky all get home together? So those are things that we had to worry about. And that is a legitimate concern because people do get date raped all the time. They do get raped in college. I mean, these things do happen, right?
Right.
So there are legitimate things that you have to be more cautious about as a woman, but that also comes from the way women think versus men, whereas women are thinking about a whole variety of subjects at one time. And I believe that, and I'm not a man, so I don't know, are more just in general.
No, I can tell you
one
that
task
college
at a
men
time.
are really only thinking about one thing.
Yes. In high school.
Certainly at a time.
in
That's
high
certainly-
school
but one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Primarily one thing all the time.
all the time, yeah.
That's in high school too. It starts
sure.
in high school, right? And there's
Middle school.
physical things that happen, and we instead of talking about those things, we somehow we've decided that you're just as a man not supposed to have those urges and desires, right?
Right.
Which you do, and
Right.
frankly, women do too.
Right.
So
And it-
that's
yeah.
not isolated. And so it's like instead of having honest conversations about the hormones and feelings that we all have, we've been like, well, men shouldn't, Google or oogle at ladies that have short skirts on and attack them.
That's true. I agree with that.
Well, that's obvious.
Right.
But why is this happening so much? Because it does happen quite a bit.
There is this thing called the Judeo-Christian ethic that actually solves all these problems if we lived by them. I do want to bring one thing back to the bear question, because I did see someone post a response saying, this is why women choose the bear. And they went down this whole list of, a bear is not going to rape you. Okay. A bear is not going to accuse you of it being your fault. A bear is not going to, and all these things that bad men accuse women of, in kind of that social, less than they murdered you. All the, and to some extent, some of the things Lauren was saying, and that's very legitimate. I get all of that.
Yeah.
And still, that's an emotional response because 100% of the time the bear's going to kill you, and maybe 2% of the men are bad men, maybe 10, I don't know. But what that leaves out, it leaves out a different perspective, which is, by the way, if we reverse that, and I'm the man and I'm choosing the bear, it's because a bear is not going to falsely accuse me of rape.
Which does happen, 100%.
Criminal defense attorney.
It
all
100%
the
happens.
time.
My dad is an attorney.
A
told me
bear
this as
is
a
not
kid.
going
Yeah.
to get pregnant on purpose to trap me into a lifetime of support.
Which happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
A bear is not going to date me and pretend the child she's carrying is mine so that she has a baby daddy because the guy that knocked her up is a deadbeat.
Right.
There are all
Happens
sorts
all the
of
time.
bad things bad women do to good men, and there are all
Yep.
sorts of bad things bad men do to good women.
Yes.
It's not a gender issue.
Yeah.
It's not all men are bad, all women are good. It is there are bad men and there are bad women,
Right.
and we need to acknowledge that and quit blaming all men or all women and say,
Yeah.
I'd rather have the bear.
So,
it's
so
not fair.
I'm
That's-
glad
that's a
glad
good
you
point,
offered
Noel.
the counter, and that brings it full circle back to my point. My point is we're not good at listening.
No.
We go quickly to the explanation, and I think I'm bent that way. But nearly 3 decades of pastoral counseling has meant, or pastoral work has meant that I've sat across the desk
Yep.
and had to listen to many, many different stories, and it
Yeah.
changes your perspective. They may not be my story, but it's somebody else's stories, and therefore it adds to my understanding.
Well, I appreciate your perspective, Chris, because that pastoral perspective is something that I don't go to naturally because I'm a lawyer. I'm
Right.
going to come
Yeah.
up with the counter argument.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up with the facts and the logic on the other side. And I may not listen except to go, now I know how to destroy your argument because
Yeah.
that's how I'm wired. But
Yeah.
I really appreciate the insight that says whether they're right or wrong, it's worth to hear their story.
Yes.
Because your
I agree
story,
with that.
your story
Yeah.
determines your filter by which you receive all other data.
Yes.
And whether it's right or wrong, it's still a filter that has to, and this is where the counseling world comes in, it can help you kind of tease out, oh, I've been receiving information wrongly my whole life because of that event that occurred when I was 16 and I put myself in
Yes.
a compromised situation. And that shouldn't be, a finger back in her face
Absolutely
to
not.
say,
Yeah.
how dare you? It's no, oh, I'm so sorry that happened
Thanks,
to you.
Vicky.
And now let's tease this out so that you can have healthy relationships going forward.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the hard work. And that's why I think we need to be more understanding and be quick to listen, as the Bible says, slow
Yes.
to speak, slow to anger. Love the book of James, such practical wisdom in the New Testament. But we have to employ that so that we can, learn. We will learn. And we'll be helpful to people.
Yeah, that's-
And I mean helpful not in like the coddling way, like, oh, it's your truth. No, this happened to you. It's real. But it's now wrongly shading your view of so many other areas of
Can
your
we
life.
get to a healthy place?
Can we restore you?
Yeah.
Can we restore your mental health or your physical health, emotional health?
So if you've chosen the bear, you can call Chris. I'd be happy to meet with you, and I'll figure out
I am
why.
not a professional counselor. I just have a pastoral heart, and I will put you in touch with some licensed counselors that are amazing.
Well, and I mean, I will say, as a woman who's a very empowered woman, I am afraid to walk streets alone at night.
And
I am.
And you are a strong personality.
I am a strong
and
personality.
full of confidence.
Yes, and I am
But that's still
afraid
real.
to walk streets at night.
Sure.
And is it because I've been told to be afraid? Yes.
A little bit.
Is it because there are bad guys out there? There are. Yes, I know that.
Thanks, Lori.
The lawyer kid that I am was told at a very young age, these are the real things that can happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the things that I'm dealing with and know about right now that have happened to people. It is real. Women are, I don't know, I'm assuming women are victims more than men, but I really don't know.
They're less likely to be murdered.
Women, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes good sense. Whether that's right or not. But here's the two things that my final points on this deal. We don't hold the bad people accountable anymore.
True.
We don't, and I'm going to say this, and it may be offensive. Men
For the first time ever on
Men
the
used
Waffle.
to have guts, and they'd stand up to stuff,
Amen.
and then they were told that they can't do that anymore.
Yep.
So now women are having to be the ones that have guts and stand up for stuff.
Yep.
And now that's not good enough either.
Well, you said it. I didn't want to say it, but I'll say it since you said it. Men are called to protect women.
Yeah.
That's our calling.
It's
and
almost
that's offensive to people.
You started the conversation by saying,
Yeah.
I know that physically a man can dominate me or dominate most women. That is
Yes.
so think about that. That is a God design that a man is physically stronger in certain ways. In certain ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't
You-
I mean, it's fact.
Women tolerate pain in childbirth. That's another story.
Yeah.
But that is a God design. In the God design in its perfection and its beauty before the corruption of sin is that we would be protectors and caretakers, not in its perverted or sinful sense, which is dominating, overbearing, unkind, illegal
Yeah.
actions. You know,
Ownership.
Yeah,
Ugh.
toxicity.
Yeah.
Is a result of the fall, not of the design.
Yeah. And you know, it's just to completely jump topics when we have to end the show. But this is why I don't
I got
understand
a
why
meeting.
women are so opposed to or so in favor of gun control. If I was a woman, I'd be like, give me the gun.
Yeah, I
This
want
is
all
a
of
great
them.
equalizer. I want all of them. It's a great equalizer.
Well, and I honestly will tell you where that comes from. Women are primarily the caregivers of the children.
sure, I get that.
And when you, and I feel this way too myself, and I know other women who feel this way. We want the gun to not be there if possible.
Right.
Because if the gun's there, the gun is there.
Understood. It's just not possible.
I know, but
It's not a gun, it's a sword.
that's honestly where it comes from.
I get it. It's just, and it's a wonderful feeling. It's just not
It's
rational. or
not.
built
There's
in
a
facts.
whole lot of things that in a perfect world would be great, and that's one of them.
That is one of
But
them.
that's where that comes from, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
But I have an 8:30 meeting. So
Okay,
gotta go.
so we're going to land
You're
the
late
plane.
for your
Thanks for
8:30
hanging with
meeting.
us today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was interesting, I think. Some of you said so on the comments. Appreciate that. We'll be back next week with more.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Chris is gone.